Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. So we're going to talk about ABOULOMANIA. If you've ever heard of that, comment below. What I've decided to do is to kind of expand out, go over the different mental illnesses and also do it like the narcissism. But a lot of us are wondering, is our person a narcissist? So the more information we have, the better we can really realize the different types of mental illnesses that are out there. Also, we can reflect on ourselves if we need to. But did you guys do the challenge? There's a challenge where I have a braid in my hair. So be aware of videos where I have a small little braid. It's the second challenge. I've already given away my free half-hour one-on-one. So if you guys want to win that, go back and see where my video is with the braid, and you can win a free half-hour one-on-one to make friends or just talk about some issues. But ABOULOMANIA, what exactly is it? So it's a mental disorder where a patient suffers from kind of a deranged mental derangement, and they have a weakened willpower. Also, like a pathological indecisiveness. They're unable to make decisions. We're going to talk about the definition, description, what the risk factors are, what causes it. And it's just good to know what kind of mental illnesses are out there so we can better assess. We're not clinicians, but we also have our gut instincts. A lot of times, not always, a lot of times our gut instincts are correct. So ABOULOMANIA, this is associated with stress. That's a major component of it. Depression, they have a lot of mental anguish, also very anxious, high anxiety. And because of ABOULOMANIA, it can severely affect somebody's ability to function socially. So it can even lead to suicide in extreme cases. So they're not sure, like it gets frustrating saying that it's not 100% concrete the exact cause. We don't always know the causes, even with our narcissists. What causes ABOULOMANIA, narcissism, psychopathy? But most likely they believe it's both biological, developmental factors, and there's a lot of researchers that believe somebody in authority, whether it was a parent, possibly a teacher, somebody who is overprotective, caused this development of ABOULOMANIA. And it's spelled, well, you'll see how it's spelled in the title. So people who are more susceptible, it seems to have a correlation with their upbringing. So it's commonly thought that because of over involvement by a caretaker who was their primary caretaker, over involvement in the decisions can lead to difficulties later on in life. So the caretakers kind of render that child dependent upon the caretaker for their needs. They might get rewarded for being extremely loyal. But whenever the child tries to take their own independence, that's when the parent would reject them or shut them down. They try to squash the child's growth in their own independence. And we need to let our kids learn. That's how they're going to function in society. So families with people who have ABOULOMANIA, they often are unable to express their emotions. And because of that, they're controlling, and they have relational roles within the family unit that are just poorly defined. The kids trying to become more independent, they're not allowed to. The parent is overbearing, and individually, people who have this within society can be humiliated. They might have a like doubting whether that they are able to perform tasks or take on new responsibilities. And you know, they have a hard time developing individuality. So it reinforces when they're having these problems, they start to feel that they're incapable of living autonomously, where they can just be self-sufficient. So by responding to these feelings, they often feel helpless. And what are the symptoms? They don't trust their own ability within their power to make decisions. They question everything. They're scared to make the wrong decision. They can be very upset by loss or separation. So they go to great lengths to stay within relationships. They don't know if they should leave, what the outcome is. They're afraid of abandonment, and they suffer a lot because of these decisions. They become dependent. So they don't like to be alone, and they avoid it a lot. So they become clingy. A lot of times that can tear apart a relationship. They don't like to take personal responsibility because they put that on somebody else. If somebody else is making the decisions or guiding them in their choices, they don't take the personal responsibility. So if they get any type of disapproval or criticism from people, they can become easily hurt because they think they're doing the right thing. That's what they were told to do. They follow directions. And now they're being disapproved of. And because of this unbalance, they can start focusing on their fear of abandonment because they're unable to process decision making and guiding their own lives. So they become very dependent. They start to become passive, to where they're just guided, kind of like herding sheep. They just follow along. And once a relationship ends, they'll be extremely upset about that because they lost kind of like a caregiver or a director. And they'll also start to feel very helpless. So they need the support from others. And when we become too needy, it starts to affect our lives. We need to be whole within ourselves. But the diagnosis is based on an evaluation. There's a complete medical history, also a physical examination. We make sure, within some mental illnesses, we do drug tests, or blood tests to see if there's any possibility of, drug use that's causing like psychopathy or schizophrenia. Like with schizophrenia, I'll put it that way. Schizophrenia, they want to make sure, these hallucinations aren't from drugs. But here there's no laboratory test that they usually use. But they do have a diagnostic test that rules out physical illness as the cause of these symptoms. I don't know if you have just physical, nothing that's stating that, if you're paralyzed, you start to feel dependent, is it something like that? Is there maybe, brain tumors or different things that could cause physical illness and mental illness as well. So if there is no physical reason, they might be sent to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Psychiatrists are the ones that can prescribe medications, but these healthcare professionals, they're specially trained to diagnose and treat mental illnesses. And this is one of them. I did read today that it's in the top 10. I'm not sure if I exactly would say it's in the top 10, but according to this chart, it was. And what makes it the worst? There is a lot of deficit in their lives because they're rendered helpless, and it can cause damage to other people's lives who are trying to help them. They're always, sacrificing for this person. They become so needy. So during this interview, they use assessment tools and go ahead and evaluate it. They take into account things as age. Age is very important. We go through different stages in our lives. When we learn certain things, there's more risk factors. So cultural factors can play a part too. Different religions, things like that, where you're taught to be submissive, to not make your own decisions. That can make a difference too. So some are taught to be polite, not to speak out, to know your place. So whether, you know, based on cultural factors, what your sex is, who the authority figures are. So it should only be diagnosed when it meets the correct criteria and it's not outside somebody's cultural norms, because we're all different, we're all raised differently, and culture to culture, people act different. They really do. They accept certain things and that's their norm. So outside of that, it's uncomfortable for them. Or they want to break free from it. Some of them don't like to be as repressed, but the ones that go along with it, why are they having problems? You know, is it the culture or is it the mental illness? So what's the treatment? You know, generally these people who have ABOULOMANIA, they don't often seek treatment for the disorder itself, but they might seek treatment because of the problems within their lives. It's because of the way they're thinking, the way they're behaving. They start to feel overwhelmed and they're unable to cope. So they're more prone to having depression. They can also be more prone to anxiety. And because of the anxiety and depression, because of the havoc that's being placed in their life, that's when they're prompted to seek professional help. And a lot of times too, with the mental illnesses that are out there, that's what brings people into therapy, is the destruction of their lives. Because mental illness can damage lives, and the lives of the caretakers or the friends or the spouses, or lovers. So psychotherapy, which is a type of counseling, that's the main type of treatment for somebody suffering from ABOULOMANIA. So they go to this therapy to kind of help the person become more active, more independent, and to kind of mirror or learn from healthy relationships. And, you know, we can learn a lot by watching people. You know, I think I told you guys before, I lost 78 pounds and I was like reading different diet things, and they always tell you, you know, like, see what a thin person eats, and you can't always go by that, but look at their plate, look at what they grab, look at the types of foods that they eat. Same with healing. You know, if we see how people handle certain things. That's why when we're dealing with abusive relationships, you know, we should say, I feel this, instead of you make me feel this way, because that's putting a lot of pressure on that person. We should just share what we feel. Change from saying you to I statements, word patterns, things like that. And we can kind of, with the knowledge that we're gaining, we can pick up on these things like, wow, that's how they worded it. I do that all the time. I used to also watching soap operas growing up. My mom used to watch it when we came home from school. That's all that was on the TV. Back then we only had one TV and it was a 13-inch. We did have color later on, but and the tinfoil antennas for better reception, 9 channels. But so I used to always watch those soap operas and I'm like, why don't they just talk it out, or why don't they just say what they're feeling? And it's for cliffhangers, but you know, in the soap operas, it brings you back the next day, like, what's going on? And I have to figure it out. And that's kind of how we can fall into traps with our narcissists or with other mental illnesses, is they don't communicate the right way. So we kind of come back for more to understand or to help. Um, but we got to be careful of what we're involving ourselves into. Just like watching a soap opera every day isn't necessarily the healthiest. There's so much more to life, and we have to protect ourselves. Hurt people. Um, so these people are hurt. There's something going on. And, not all mental illnesses are permanent. So, they talk about destigmatizing mental illness. We can help people through the tough times. You got people who are depressed, high anxiety, but narcissism can be really dangerous. Psychopathy. There's certain disorders that, you know, um, you got to fight your battles and protect yourself. So, uh, the use of medication might be used to treat people with aboulamania if they suffer depression or anxiety. Same with narcissists, if they have comorbid things. Those things can be treated with medications. But medication therapy should be carefully monitored, because we have to be careful that the person doesn't become dependent on or abuse the drugs. So it's a term that not everybody knows about, but it's that indecision becomes uh, pathological. And they just had this fear of abandonment. Makes it really difficult, and it's sad. There are even with our depression, to where you self-isolate, and that's when you don't get the help you need. You don't get learning from others. But if you do struggle with it, how do you deal with it? um you know uh what was it? There was a procrastination clinic, and I always got a kick out of it. It said, Procrastination clinic, sign up today." And I always thought it was kind of ironic that they're saying sign up today. People who struggle with procrastination aren't going to sign up today. They put things off. Same with a bulimania. They're indecisive. Should I go see a therapist? Should I not? Should I spend the money on it? Should I not? Should I even? And they'll be like, should I even call the insurance company? So you know, it can be more serious than it seems. Especially, the person might sometimes feel that their indecision could be normal, um, but they become dependent on others. And so much of our childhood really does affect us later on in life. So it affects the will of the person, and it weakens that person, rendering them almost helpless when they could be capable. So it'd be really sad seeing somebody live their life in a wheelchair when they don't have to. And with a bulimania, um, there's things that can help with the treatment. So it'd be really sad to get stuck in that mental illness. There are things that can kind of bring you, um, out of it. So, the treatment is something to think about. They have a symptomatic treatment. They also deal with training and skills that facilitate the person developing their own autonomy, and they become trained in assertiveness. They need those techniques to function in life, to say things differently, also social skills. So, they have to learn how to I guess, ask for help sometimes when they do, but they also have to deal with how to flourish. So, by doing those techniques and social skills, it can be very effective in reducing abulomania symptoms, as well as helping that person to establish healthy personal relationships with other people. And when we're in a healthier state, when we're surrounded by healthier people, um, you got to be careful. One person can bring you down or the other person can pull you up. So as far as narcissism, they don't really want to work on themselves. Somebody with abulomania may feel more compelled to listen, because, they are more likely to be open to change. Uh, a narcissist, they don't see a problem. Somebody with a bulimania um, has most likely more reasoning skills, than because it had a bulimania is not related to the empathy. When you have empathy, you can say, look, you're starting to get too needy with other people. You need to develop your own independence. And they can like see that. They can see you're right, I'm becoming too needy. Hopefully. But a narcissist isn't going to see it that way. You talk to a narcissist, you're being too needy. They're going to be like, fuck that. I deserve it. I am who I am. And they'll be like cold and calculating and lie their way. And they think they win. A bulimania, it's a different breed. So just to recap, I'm going to make a series on the mental illnesses just for knowledge. If you guys would like to branch out on those, let me know. I'll branch out on whatever. I'm going to do one on autism, other things, because I think the more knowledge we have, the better we can deal. Like if we have an autistic child or things like that, the better we can all get along, all understand each other. And, I know a lot of you want narcissists, so I'll have a stuff on narcissism in a playlist. So I'll try to keep it categorized. This series, I'm going to put a couple on the narcissism channel just to kind of get this one going. And I'll overlap with my mental illness playlist, and then we'll branch out if you guys have certain ones you want to talk about, or there's something super interesting that I come across. So one-on-ones are available. Topic requests are always appreciated, and I'll try to get back to all the comments. I'll see you soon.